All right, we got it? All right, part 2. I was trying to do it in 10-minute segments because I'm very long-winded. All right, so President Pro Tem, as we were just reviewing, means the acting president of the Senate. It's Harry Reid. The Vice President of the United States is really the President of the Senate, okay? When the President vetoes a bill, what can be done to still pass it? So if a bill is to be passed and the President vetoes it, what can be done? Well, the Congress can pass it by 2/3 majority, all right? Now, what can the President do if he doesn't like a law that Congress passed? Of course, he can veto it. So if Congress passes a law the President doesn't like, he vetoes it, but then it can go back to the Congress, and the Congress with 2/3 majority can still pass it, okay? Both houses of Congress. So that's what can happen, and both houses have to pass it. Who is Harry Reid? We already talked about who he is, the acting President of the Senate, also called the President Pro Tem. Good. I heard y'all out there talking about that. What is the majority party of the Senate? Would be the Democrats. Okay, Democrats control the Senate. What is the majority party of the House of Representatives? That would be the Republicans. So John Boehner's a Republican, and he's in the majority party. All right, what role does the Senate, what role in the Senate does Joe Biden play? And we just talked about this. He is the president of the Senate. And if there's a tie-breaking vote, he will go over there and he'll vote. He'll be the president of the Senate. All right, now I also have some people we're quizzing you all about. The first one is, who is John Roberts? So come up with a trick to remember that. All right, who is John Roberts? And he is the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. All right, John Roberts. Oh, I didn't show you his thing. Who is John Roberts? Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. So he's the guy with the gavel. He's the Chief Justice. There's 9 people on the Supreme Court. He's the one in the middle with the gavel. He, interesting fact, I was talking about this in class, is the people on the Supreme Court, they're all in a line. There's 9 of them. And when you argue against the Supreme Court, you come up and you present your arguments, and it's very prestigious for a lawyer to actually go argue against the Supreme Court. It means it's already gone through the state courts and the appellate courts. Now it's at the Supreme Court, final law of the land. And it's very prestigious. Well, the 9 justices that are sitting, so if I'm right now a justice, if I'm John Roberts, ooh, that would feel so good to be John Roberts. Okay, if I'm John Roberts and I have 9 justices sitting here and we're deciding and you're coming up and you're standing before me, which would be a little odd since we're right in front of the bathroom, but let's say you're just standing before me right here. All right, I would be looking straight back on the doors, and on the doors that I'm looking at as Justice Roberts and all the Supreme Court, I'm looking at the 10 Commandments. Because the doors that close behind, you know, when you come in, the doors that close behind you have the 10 Commandments etched in them, engraved in them. Isn't that amazing? I just think that's incredible. We don't hear about stuff. And there's 10 Commandments all over the buildings in Washington. We're going to go in depth about the buildings. So that's why we're going to skip around a little bit in the book, because we're going to be going over that a lot. Because I want us to know the stuff that we should have known, but it's just not taught anymore. All right, what are the 3 branches of government? That's from week 1. Executive, legislative, judicial. Which one is the courts? Judicial, good. Which one is the big man at the desk making all the big executive decisions? Executive, of course. And then we also have the legislative, which is Congress. And then there's 2 houses of Congress. Okay? So 3 branches of government. Who is the head of the legislative branch? So who's the head of the legislative branch? What I was looking for there is Congress. So you have Congress. I kind of did a little thingy here, so maybe it's easier to see. That's what I did in class. Congress. So you have 2 houses of Congress. You have John Boehner, who's the Speaker of the House in the House of Representatives. And then you have Harry Reid, who is the acting President of the Senate. Both of these equal Congress in the legislative branch, okay? Senate, House of Representatives. I know I'm drilling this a million times, but if you guys learn nothing, I want you to learn the basics. Because then when you hear stuff on the news, like now when I'm hearing about stuff on the news, or the president just passed an executive order, or he just made a recess appointment. Well, if you've learned the skeleton of how our government works, then you know where to put that information, kind of where to tuck that information. But if it's kind of all ambiguous in your mind, you don't. So I know I drill a million times, and but it's just It's how I learn, so I'm kind of hoping some of you guys might learn like that too. Who's the head of the executive branch? Of course, we all should know, President Obama. Who, this is another name we learned. Who is the Attorney General? Hint, Oprah's boyfriend. I just say that because Rush says that, and I love Rush. Who's the Attorney General? He does look a little bit like him. His name is Eric Holder. All right. Who is the Secretary of State? I'm hearing y'all answer before I say it. Hillary Clinton. All right. Who is Nancy Pelosi? She's the minority leader in the House of Representatives. Good. She used to be the majority. Now she's the minority. And I bet it is a bummer to be the minority leader and not have power once you were, once you were the majority leader, once you were the head of the whole thing with the gavel and everything. And now you're like, oh, I used to be Speaker of the House. For every office they hold, too, when they retire, they get more money. So I think she's up to 1.2 million or something because of all the offices that she's held. How many members are in the Senate? This number always stays the same. It's 100. 2 from each state. How many states do we have? 50. During the presidential campaign, like I brought up last time, our candidate who won actually said 57 states, and he said it more than once. And I think another time he said 54 states. So it's just one of those things. He just didn't have a government teacher who loved government. That's all. What is the name of our vice president? Joe Biden. Hope y'all know that. Joe Biden. Oh, that's the last flashcard I have. Good. I think I got them all. All right. How many is in the House of Representatives? I think it's 435. I got to look that up because I keep saying I think it's 435. It's about that. In the House of Representatives. All right. Those are the people I want you to know. I added 2 more people this week. I added Clarence Thomas. He's on the Supreme Court. He's a black conservative. So the liberals and the Democrats really hated him when he was nominated. Years ago, he was nominated, I believe, by President Reagan. Now I'm trying to think if it was Reagan or the first Bush. I think it was Reagan. But anyway, when he was nominated, they hated him. And there was a lady named Anita Hill, and she was also a black woman, and she came forward and she had all these allegations. She was talking, accusing him of sexual harassment and stuff. Now, nobody else came out of the woodwork in all the years he'd worked, and she had followed him from place to place and working, and she just didn't seem very credible. But of course, I love him, so and he's a conservative, and he felt like his reputation was besmirched forever. But they went after him hard. And in the United States, if you're a black man or a black woman, or you're a Hispanic man or a Hispanic woman, you are expected to vote Democratic and liberal. You are expected to be, vote for all those things, even though they're pro-abortion, which most black families, and I'm not sure about Hispanic families, but I think so because they're Catholic a lot of times, are against abortion. They're against a lot of things that the Democrats stand for. But the Democrats have kind of put out there, oh, Republicans are mean. And for instance, the Republicans are the ones that started the whole equal rights, and they were against slavery. Abraham Lincoln was a Republican. The Republicans are the ones that went for equal rights, so the blacks could have votes, could be able to vote in America and everything. Most black families today are a lot, I will say, by my black friends who are conservative, and I have black friends that are liberal too, but I have a lot of black friends that are conservative Christians, and they say most of the families that they know they don't know Abraham Lincoln's Republican, they don't know that it was the Republicans who fought for blacks to have the right to vote. They don't know these things. They've been told one thing that's a lie. So if you're a black family or a Hispanic family, you're expected to vote liberal, even if those isn't your value system. But if you're Indian or if you're white, if you're another culture, you can vote however you want. And that's just not right. And it's just this prejudice in society against those people. If they vote their conscience. So it's like everybody else, you can make up your own mind, but you guys, you have to vote the way we tell you to. It's just so wrong. I just don't understand it. All right. Part 3 is going to be executive branch. We're going to go over stuff we went over in class. So stay tuned. Thanks.